Dear brothers and sisters, in few days we are going to turn a new page on the Gregorian calendar and receive the new year of 2025. It's a good time for people to set their goals and objectives. I am not here to tell you what are your goals and objectives for the next year, but I want really to focus on the concept of having a goal or to set a goal or goals for ourselves in this life. However, on annual basis or monthly basis, daily basis, okay? And Islam, through the practice of prayer, was able to introduce the idea and the concept of Qibla into our daily life. Qibla is the symbol of goal and purpose. This is the actual meaning of Qibla, or the literal meaning of Qibla. Kaaba in Mecca, the sacred house of Allah, is the tangible and geographical address that unifies Muslims and reminds them continuously of their common destination. Essentially, through introducing Al-Qibla, Islam enabled its followers to visualize very abstract concepts like the concept of unity and make these concepts within their reach. Today, we know how important it is to have a goal in the life of the individual and in the life of society. It is that kind of goal that ensures the movement of society as a whole towards it. It inspires continually the movement of its members en masse to answer the different challenges that face society while moving towards the realization of that big and far goal. Islam presented Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the ultimate and real goal. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَشْرِقُ وَالْمَغْرِبُ فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. To Allah belongs the east and the west. Wherever you turn, there is Allah's countenance. وَجَّهْتُ وَجْهِيَ لِلَّذِي فَطَرَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. I have set my face firmly and truly towards Him who created the heavens and earth. This real and ultimate Qibla transcends language, color, wealth, race, and every other identity, and unifies the Ummah to one goal. This is clearly stated in Quran when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَأَلَّفَ بَيْنَ قُلُوبِهِمْ. Allah has put affection between the hearts of the believers. لو أنفقت ما في الأرض جميعا ما ألفت بين قلوبهم. Not if you had spent all that is in the earth, could you have produced that affection. ولكن الله ألف بينهم. But Allah has done it, which means that Allah, the belief in Allah, became the goal around which the believers unite. Islam was able, through the idea of Al-Qibla, to introduce the idea of a long-term project. Muslims in general perform Hajj once in their lifetime. This involves a lot of work and preparation, psychologically and economically. Muslim society as a whole was involved in making this journey happen. For example, This is reflected in the architecture of the houses. The guest house used to be an essential part of each house to welcome travelers on their way to Hajj. Families would provide the moral and the material support, food and lodging for the pilgrims, and consider this as part of their duty. These pilgrims have been praying towards Al-Qibla for years, but now, after they traveled from distant places, min kulli fajjin amiq, they are able to see it and even touch it. They come to the realization that through collective effort, a far and high goal is within reach. By introducing the idea of Al-Qibla, Islam successfully introduced the awareness of space and time to direct the action towards the goal. In order to pray, Muslims must know their location in space and the time of the day. Otherwise, you cannot. You have to say which prayer you are going to pray. You cannot determine the direction of Qibla until you locate yourself in space. This idea is better internalized when you visit a park. What do you see at the entrance of any park? A big map. But the whole map, believe me, will be useless and meaningless until you see the sign on the map saying, "You are here." Once you locate yourself in space, then you know in what direction you want to go through that park. And you know how to reach your goal. If you say your noon prayer, al-Dhuhr, many times, you will not be excused not to pray during the Asr or after sunset. Time is important. Prayer, therefore, is a continuous reminder of our position, not only in space, but also in time. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ كَانَتْ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ كِتَابًا مَوْقُوتًا. Prayer is prescribed to the believers at stated times. Islam was also able to distinguish between direction and the goal. The letter or the goal remains the address that always gives the direction its meaning. In Mecca, people form concentric circles around the sacred house during prayer, while the directions are infinite. If you start counting, the number of directions is infinite, but the Qibla is one. This model can be applied in our social life. A solution to the same problem may be different in different times and places, but as long as they all move towards the Qibla, the goal, the purpose, they will all reach the goal. The ritual of Tawaf takes this further. Not only there is recognition of different directions to reach the same goal, but each pilgrim actually moves between these stations, recognizing and accepting the different directions that are all aiming at the same Qibla. This symbolizes the culmination of celebrating diversity in an environment of mutual recognition, needed to pull all human experiences together and make life possible for all. Similarly, the multiplicity of prior revelations and the prophets represents the multiplicity of experiences, cultures, and solutions that make life possible and better at every station. The seal of prophecy by Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Khatam al-Anbiya, is possible because the goal, that is the Qibla, of all revelations and the prophets is the same. إِنَّ هَذِهِ أُمَّتُكُمْ أُمَّةً وَاحِدَةً وَأَنَا رَبُّكُمْ فَاعْبُدُونِ. Verily this nation of yours is a single nation, and I am your Lord, therefore worship me. As the Qibla guides and unifies the direction of the prayer, it affected the daily life of the Muslim society. The Qibla as an idea to determine a certain location was behind the scientific advances of Muslim society in mathematics, geography, astronomy, and others. The Qibla touched also many other aspects of life in the Muslim society. Houses in old neighborhoods, especially in rural areas, even today are noticed to be facing the Qibla and not the street. To answer to God for something grave, a man will face the Qibla as symbol of truth. Slaughtering an animal is a big thing that is not justified unless it is for a higher purpose like preserving a human life. Therefore, we face Al-Qibla while doing it. Look at the model of the Imam. The Imam being the closest to Qibla during a prayer can be seen as a symbol of realization of a human being in a state closer to Allah. The Imam is a reminder and a provider for guidance without control or compulsion. إنما أنت مذكر لست عليهم بمسيطر. Therefore you give admonition, for you are not one to control their affairs. Remember, the Imam is leading by example and is not watching over the shoulders of the people behind. If anyone behind the Imam makes a mistake, the Imam will not see or notice. But if the Imam makes a mistake, what will happen? Many behind him or her will hurry to correct. The rows behind the Imam are also supposed to reflect the closeness to Qibla. Listen to what Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam recommended. He said, لِيَلِيَنِي مِنْكُمْ أُولُو الْأَحْلَامِ وَالنُّهَى. Those endued with maturity and understanding must stand immediately behind me in a prayer. Why? Because society organized this way will have the capacity to give birth to another Imam or Imams whenever needed. Today, many of you know this is referred to as succession of leadership, which is always, in any setting, is a challenge. At a larger scale, this leads us to the idea of now the whole ummah acting as Imam. We are not talking about now as Imam as a society, not as an individual. Now the ummah can play that role of being Imam for humanity. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَيَكُونَ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا. Thus we have made of you an ummah justly balanced, that you might be witnesses over the people, and the messenger a witness over you. That is the same way Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam played the role of being the Imam or the witness for his people. Now it is the turn of the people to become the Imam for other nations. My dear brothers and sisters, as you can see, even our prayer is like a blueprint of the project of a prophecy that is capable of affecting and directing social change. We talked today about Al-Qibla. If we have a chance in the future, we can dissect other aspects of our prayer to basically generate its social and cultural implications. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوزا للمستغفرين استغفر الله.